Hello, I'm Natalie Chandler.
And I'm Joe Larkins. Welcome to this edition of Your Family Pet.
On tonight's show, you'll find out ways to keep your pets safe this summer. And you'll meet a fashion designer who crafts custom scarves for dogs.
We explore pet massage and aromatherapy, and we discuss the importance of keeping dogs on a leash and ways of preventing dog bites.
All this and more on this edition of Your Family Pet.
Production funding for Your Family Pet is made possible in part by Memphis Veterinary Specialists, a referral-based specialty hospital serving the needs of small animals, offering diagnostic tools and treatment options not typically found outside veterinary teaching hospitals, including orthopedic and neurologic surgery, oncology, dermatology, dentistry, ophthalmology, internal medicine, and more. And by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Summertime is a great season for enjoying outdoor activities with your pet. But summer can present dangers for your pet as well. To find out more, I talked with veterinarian Russ Drury about tips we can use to keep our pets safe in the summer heat. All right, we're excited to have Betty back on the show.
She's a good girl.
And what are some tips that you can give us for the summertime and maybe some things we need to be cautious of?
Sure. In the summer, we deal with a lot of issues. When the weather gets hot, the biggest issue that we have is heat exhaustion and heat stroke. So, although probably the most common thing we'll see is dogs in cars. I'm sure you've seen lots of stuff on Facebook, on the internet, on news stories about this. Never leave your dog in the car. There's no quick trip that can justify leaving your dog in the car for even a minute. They can turn into essentially an oven in no time. Even if it's just a quick run to the grocery store and to a gas station, it's still not a good idea. I've seen even owners lock their dogs in the car on accident, and we see many fatalities from that every year. But there's many other ways that happens too. I've had many clients go exercising with their dog, so going out playing with the park. Their dog isn't used to that type of exercise. They're playing ball for many hours in the hot sun, and they can get very sick very quickly. The worst probably dogs that we deal with this are the dogs that are brachycephalic. So dogs with a short nose, think pugs, boxers, those types of dogs have a really big issue with the heat. Essentially, what happens is if their temperature gets up above 105, 106, we're in trouble. We're in bad trouble. There's three things that can happen. One is that we can see brain damage from heat exhaustion. That's irreversible. The other is it actually will slough the lining of their GI tract, so it kills that GI mucosa. That allows all the stuff, the bacteria inside the gut, access to the bloodstream, so we have septicemia. It also allows them to lose a ton of water. Lastly, DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulopathy. So all of the blood proteins that are involved in clotting will activate at once, and so little clots form all through their body, and that's essentially irreversible. So although these owners often come in and think it's nothing, these are probably some of the worst medicine cases we have. These are often fatal.
Okay, and what are some indications that your dog is overheating? What kind of signs will they show the owner?
Well, if you see aggressive panting, if you see them not able to get up and move, if you see them having really injected sclera, so lots of blood vessels big in their eyes, if you start to see them, their mucous membranes either injected red or pale, it's time to go to the vet. I do recommend people keep a thermometer around, and I strongly recommend a kind of little dog emergency kit, even wherever you go, with some water, a few other things, but a thermometer is one of your most important things. Just get a digital thermometer, usually put a little petroleum jelly or something, and you have to take their temperature rectally. But if it is above 104 and they've been outside, go ahead and get some cool water over them. If it's above 105, get them to the vet immediately.
What is their ideal body temperature?
Yeah, so anywhere between about 100 and 102.5.
Okay.
So that 104, 105 range is dangerous. 106, 107, often fatal.
If we want to take Betty to the park, what are some things we should be cautious of there?
Sure. So obviously heat exhaustion, number one. After that, there's a lot of other things that can happen at the dog park. Be very careful with other dogs. That's probably the number one thing we see on a Saturday in the summer is dog fights, and they can be very bad. If your dog does get into a fight, oftentimes looks can be deceiving. If you see a little puncture wound on your dog, we call it the iceberg effect. That the dog's actually tooth went in that hole and could have extensive damage underneath in the muscle layer. I've seen dogs with a little puncture wound on its side that had nicked the intestine, so those can be very dangerous. Otherwise, when you're at the dog park, or just in general outside, if you're out at a barbecue and stuff, there's lots of things to worry about. So with that hot sun, if you've got a little white dog with short hair, we do recommend sunscreen. Pet approved, of course. Go to a pet store and get a pet approved sunscreen, especially around the nose and ears. They can get burnt, really bad burns too, and that can lead to melanoma.
With different holidays coming up, we've got barbecues and fireworks. What are some tips you have for that?
Sure. So the number one issue we see is probably pork and fatty products. So barbecued meats can cause pancreatitis. So we'll have a lab come in, they ate a rack of ribs, not only are the bones causing a problem, but it can cause a pretty nasty GI condition called pancreatitis, which we have to treat with IV fluids, pain medications, sometimes some blood products, but it can be really nasty. As far as toxic foods, I usually avoid grapes and raisins. They can cause renal failure. Onions and garlic can cause hemolytic anemia. Avocados, milk products can cause GI issues. Chocolate can cause cardiotoxicity, so cardiac problems and diarrhea. Sugar-free gum can cause a really nasty hypoglycemia. Oh, wow. Xylitol will lower their blood sugar very quickly. Alcohol is never a good idea to feed your dogs. It's not funny, because people think, oh, we'll give the dog a little bit of something, but they can get drunk.
Not a good idea.
Yeah, get very sick. Very sick.
And so, like loud noises, fireworks, what's the best way to keep them safe from that? Because I know dogs can sometimes be spooked by those alarming sounds.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So we deal with that's another issue we have all summer long is thunderstorm and firework anxiety. I usually recommend using anything to reduce the ambient noise. So turning the TV, that sort of thing, calming them down. Thunder shirts are a product that's sold to reduce anxiety. If none of those things are working, though, come to us. There are some medications that work really well. We can talk about how to give those and the options available.
Okay, well, thank you for those summer tips.
Thank you for having me. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
7 years ago, a former LA fashion designer began using her fabric skills to create a line of designer pet accessories that she calls Poochie Fashion. Recently, I visited with Kathleen Carey and her dog, Sweetie Pie, to find out more about her handcrafted designs. So Kathleen, tell me what Stellaware is exactly.
The Stellaware is named after my late dog, Labrador, Stella. I designed scarves when she was alive. She had allergies and she kept scratching on her collar and I couldn't take all of the jangles. So I slapped some fabric because my background is fashion design. I had some fabric laying around that I decided to make some bandanas for her. And one thing led to another, and her allergies weren't aggravated by the bandanas, and I did a test market and started working, selling my things at the Cooper Young Festival. And my first time ever, and I had a great day. I was like, I think I'm onto something here. So I took the plunge and expanded from just prints to embroidery. And I'm doing breed specific. Here's a greyhound.
Okay.
And I'm doing sliders for the people that don't want to give up the collar for their animals. And these are tie-ons, and they tie on to
like a regular bandana.
Like a regular bandana. These are these are contoured. Oh, here's a Memphis one. These are contoured for a dog.
Okay.
And then we go ahead and put a back label on.
Yes, that's super helpful.
For identification purposes.
So how long have you been doing this, and what kind of inspired you? What's your background?
My background is fashion design. I started in the Los Angeles market long time ago, and it's swimwear. So I know we call it live fabric, the spandex and the knits. And then I went into brought me into the aerobics and running apparel. I always stayed in the athletic sport activity area, and then I ended up in the California surf phenomenon that was very popular in the 80s and 90s, and then I relocated here from San Diego, from Hang Ten, which was a surf company.
So which ones do you think are your most popular? Maybe the local ones?
Of course, the Grind and the Eyes Glow in the Dark. And this is a small one that goes on kitties or small dogs.
Okay, so it can be for dogs or cats.
Right, and here's another slip over the neck that has ribbed neck, like a turtleneck. And this is a poo bag pouch, so we do expand into our pick up the poo, so we recycle the newspaper bags.
Okay.
So we do put in like 6 or so when they purchase it, they're ready to go. All they have to do is undo the chain and put it on the lead, and they're good to go.
All right, so you're not just bandanas, you're actually the ones that slide on the collar and then other little accessories too.
Right.
And then you're telling me about some of the little pillows that you do as well.
Yes, we're doing applique pillows.
Very cute.
Well, this is a bully breed, so it could be a Boston Terrier or a French Bulldog. And then we're doing stencils too, and the applique.
Okay.
This happens to look like my girlfriend's dog that is part husky.
Aw.
Yeah.
Very cute. So these are pretty much one-of-a-kind items. You're not going to find these in big stores, you know?
No.
Speaking of, where are you selling these? Do you have a website?
I have a website, StellaWear.com, and I do put a few items up on Etsy when I have a minute. And we have a Facebook page where people can, see what we're doing, and then they email me. Locals call me or email me requests. I do custom names. I've done the therapy embroidery for the Tennessee Spotters group that are therapy dogs and fire rescue. So I do a lot of custom embroidery things too.
I know that your local ones are really popular, but you've got dogs all over that are wearing your bandanas.
Yes, I've got a customer in France, and I've got some people in California. Chicago. We're diversified. That's the beauty of the internet.
Well, I love all of them and how cute they are, and thank you for showing us your space.
Oh, great.
And letting us meet Sweetie Pie.
Yeah, that's Sweetie Pie. She's the mascot now. She's carrying on.
The breed of the month is the Persian cat. Persians are the most popular breed of cat in America. As their name implies, they were brought to Europe in the mid-16th century from Persia and Turkey. Persians are characterized by their long, thick coat and are categorized by 7 color divisions: solid, silver and golden, shaded and smoke, tabby, particolor, bicolor, and Himalayan. Years of selective breeding have resulted in the Persian's distinct appearance with a large, round head and eyes, a short nose with full cheeks, and small ears with rounded tips. Persians require daily maintenance of their coat, which needs regular combing to prevent excessive tangles and hairballs. This breed is prone to a number of health problems commonly related to their unique facial structure, such as difficulty breathing caused by constricted nostrils, dental malocclusions, and eye conditions. Persians have a sweet temperament that makes them the perfect companions. Although they're not as active or inquisitive as other breeds, they are highly intelligent and enjoy lounging around in their favorite window or chair. They are affectionate, but reserve their attention for family members and other familiar guests they feel they can trust. Persian cats usually weigh between 7 and 12 pounds and have a lifespan of 10 to 15 years. A relaxing massage can relieve tension, rehabilitate sore muscles, and revitalizes. If it works for humans, why not animals? Certified pet massage therapist Kathy Bickerstaff shows us the benefits of giving our pets the spa treatment. The massage itself, this is a full body massage. This isn't just a butt scratch and a head scratch and away you go.
There's a process. The first part of it is a matter of assessing the dog and asking for permission. And part of what you do is also ground them, and that's why you go all the way down to the legs where it meets the mat, if you will.
So you're touching all parts of the dog, and that is basically, as long as it doesn't pull back, you're okay to touch just about everywhere. And this is somewhat based on the principles of acupuncture. You're looking for specific pressure points.
It's more acupressure techniques, but I have a combination of Swedish techniques as well as the acupressure techniques.
East meets west.
Right.
Okay.
The best of all worlds.
So you are doing this, and you start at the nose and work your way down to the tail and then down to the paws, or is there someplace else that you start?
Well, generally, once I assess the dog, then I come back to the top and I try to get them to talk to me and tell me how they're doing. Dogs keep most of their attention in their ears, so you see me working at the bottom, and then I pull out.
Most of the tension, I know the dogs like to have their ears scratched. I thought it was just because it was a difficult place, but you're relieving tension. You're almost giving a temple massage here.
Absolutely.
You also incorporate aromatherapy, and you don't want to overdo it, but you've already introduced a couple of specifics here that these are specific to this dog, or, because of what ails him?
Generally, I use that particular one on every massage because it has the valerian and lavender and things to help you relax. And the reason that I put it on their ears, and then this, as I'm pulling around, it creates kind of a cloud for him to breathe.
So while you're rubbing him the right way, the essence of the aromatherapy, he's inhaling that, and he's going to a happy place.
Yes. The other one, he's an older dog. He's about 7, and so he has a lot of health issues. But anyway, I use Mr. Bear's Better Bones on his hips because it has helichrysum in it, which is an anti-inflammatory, and it relieves painful arthritis type joints. So this isn't for frou-frou dogs who live in the lap of luxury. This actually has a reason. This is to help older dogs who are maybe their mobility is starting to suffer. It's great for working dogs, sporting dogs. It's just about for every dog. And this is something that for a dog that's maybe starting to suffer from arthritis or has mobility issues, this makes a world of difference. You've seen that firsthand. Absolutely. I have had clients before where the dog could it was all he could do to get up, and then using the aromatherapy and the massage, within 3 visits he was jumping up and running to the door.
Are there any parameters where, and I'm assuming this is really only something for dogs, you don't do this with cats as well?
Well, there's a lot of same techniques that you can use with a cat. Now, you can't use aromatherapy with a cat, but you can use massage with a cat.
Do you massage? Do you provide massage for very many cats?
Not a whole lot. I mostly work with dogs. Now, 2 other things that I do. I cup my hand, and if there's anything in the lungs that need to come out, this will shake it loose. But because my hand is cupped, it's not slapping the dog. The other thing that I do, you want to look up for a minute, Charlie? Most everybody pets their dog right there. That's called a thymus thump, and it stimulates the immune system.
Really? I've been doing that with my dog. Didn't know I was stimulating his immune system. This has been a treat not only for Charlie, but also for a lot of dog lovers out there as well, because who knew that rubbing your dog the right way would be beneficial to them in so many ways.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you coming on board with us.
Glad to be here.
Recently, Katie Pemberton from the Humane Society stopped by our studio to talk about 2 issues of importance to dog owners: keeping your dog on a leash and preventing dog bites. A question: how many times have you been out walking your dog on a leash and suddenly you have 1 or 2 dogs come bounding up that are not on a leash, and you're thinking, how can I stop this? Well, Katie Pemberton, help. How do you stop this?
Yeah, it is a problem, and it's something that I deal with on a regular basis with my dog. There is a leash law. You are required, if you are not in a confined space, you are required legally to have your dog on a leash. If you're cited for it, it's a fine. If you are cited for it and your dog has done property damage, so it's gone and ruined a garden or it's gone and hurt another dog, which animals are considered property legally, unfortunately, that's an increased fine. If your dog is off leash and does bodily harm to a person, then that could be jail time and a fine. So it's really serious and it's really important. For a lot of dogs, the leash can cause them to be really reactive and react negatively to animals or people. So when you have a leashed dog that encounters an off-leash dog, there can be an abnormal level of aggression. And so you, by having your dog off the leash, are putting your dog in danger, and you're putting other animals in danger, certainly, and other people in danger. But the point is, even if you think your dog is friendly, that doesn't mean it's okay for them to be off the leash.
Which is my point here. When we encounter somebody and we hear, oh, don't worry, my dog's friendly, he's not going to hurt yours. Well, it doesn't matter. My dogs are not necessarily friendly.
Right, exactly. And you know, it's not illegal to have a dog that doesn't like other dogs. So you're not breaking the law by having your maybe unfriendly dog out on a leash. You know, you are being responsible, and so we need other people. You know, there's two parties to being responsible. You know, it doesn't help if you're the only one that's being responsible. You need everyone's cooperation.
And you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but you've got a rule of thumb.
Yeah, absolutely. Your number one job when you are out on a walk with your dog is keep your dog safe, protect your dog. Being polite comes second.
Biting. Well, let's talk about biting.
Yeah. Dog bites are a serious issue when a dog is aggressive with a human. Dog bites are most commonly to children. And what we at the Humane Society are always trying to explain to people is that it never comes out of nowhere. There are always warnings. The problem is they're subtle, and a lot of people don't know what to look for. Most dogs do not want to bite anybody, but they've repeatedly told you in their way through their body language.
Give us some examples, if you will.
Okay. Well, a lot of people, especially kids, think it's fun and sweet to hug a dog. Most dogs hate this. Most dogs are extremely uncomfortable with hugs. But some things to look out for are, as far as body language, anytime your dog stiffens, that's not good. Stop what you're doing.
Going into alert, ears up, tail up.
Well, that can be kind of, they see, like my dog will do that if she sees a cat. But say like I'm playing with my dog, we're playing, and she's wiggly and loose and whatever, and then all of a sudden she stiffens. That means I'm doing something that's making her uncomfortable. If you can see the whites of their eyes, we call that whale eye. That could mean that they're uncomfortable. Ears back can mean that they're anxious. Yawning, you know that thing where dogs do where they'll shake it off? Mm-hmm. That's actually shaking off something that's made them a little uncomfortable or anxious. And then what actually looks like a smile, panting, that so many people think this means this dog is happy. It can actually mean that the dog is anxious or uncomfortable. It can mean that they're hot too. And then there are a lot of warning signs beyond that body language. You know, hopefully you can catch it in that body language. When that starts, remove the dog from the situation. If there's a child, certainly remove the child from the situation. And you know, if it's something that's going to be happening on a daily basis, so say the dog is in the den and the kid's just playing with the toys and the dog stiffens, that's going to have to happen. You're going to want to work with positive reinforcement, pairing treats. And you can talk with a positive reinforcement trainer for that. But say it's gone past all of this body language and it's now a snarl or it's a growl. Never, ever punish a growl, because if you punish a growl, then you are telling your dog not to give a warning. And it's a very common mistake that a lot of people make, but it's detrimental because it takes away their ability to warn you that they're about to bite. Don't go up to an unfamiliar dog and just start petting them immediately. You know, let them come to you. Read that body language that we talked about. If it is your dog, hugging, well, just don't hug them, especially if you're the child. A dog will bite because it's either protecting something, like protecting its food bowl, protecting a toy, protecting its resting spot, could be protecting you.
The important thing to remember is that if your dog bites somebody, there are a number of insurance companies that will require you to put your dog down. Doesn't matter how many years you've had it, or you could lose your insurance. It becomes a serious situation.
Right, and it is state law to report a bite, and if a bite has broken the skin, it's state law to quarantine the dog for 10 days. So, you know, don't let it get that far.
Some sound advice. Know your dog.
Exactly.
Always a pleasure having you here, Kate.
Thank you.
That's all for this edition of Your Family Pet.
Our pets are some of the greatest friends and companions that we'll ever have in our lives.
So be sure to take care of your furry friends. I'm Natalie Chandler.
And I'm Joe Larkins. Good night.
Production funding for Your Family Pet is made possible in part by Memphis Veterinary Specialists, a referral-based specialty hospital serving the needs of small animals, offering diagnostic tools and treatment options not typically found outside veterinary teaching hospitals, including orthopedic and neurologic surgery, oncology, dermatology, dentistry, ophthalmology, internal medicine, and more. And by viewers like you. Thank you.